After almost 2 years, Banks finally released their Derringer and pedal monster for the 2024-2025 L5P Duramax. The claim is 86 horsepower and 168 pound-feet of torque increase at the tires from a factory L5P. Now this is a kit that you order. I'd recommend just calling them up, making sure you get everything, because there are a couple of different, grab handles that this mounts to, depending on if you have the high trim level or a lower trim level, what shape that little thing is there. It's pretty cool. They send you the hardware and even a drill bit to adjust how your A-pillar will accept this mount so the wiring can come through. This is what came in our pedal monster kit. Now there will be an OBD2 port cord, but it's going to be in the box with the Derringer because we ordered the entire system. So there's the pedal monster. You can see the 6-pin connector. It doesn't care left or right, input or output. Here's our extension cord for the 6-pin connector. This goes in line to your pedal assembly, as you can see in their little diagram here. And then, of course, it mentions the OBD2 port. This is basically a warning saying take this thing out if you have to take your truck in to the dealer for anything. In my opinion, even if you're taking it in for an oil change, there's a chance that since these vehicles have a 100,000-mile powertrain warranty, that their standard procedure could be to check your truck over for modifications. So our other box of goodies includes the Derringer itself, sitting right on top, and then here is our gauge. These things are pretty rad. They offer a couple of options. You can either get this one or you can get the one that actually does data logging. So I'm assuming it probably has a thumb drive or something like that that goes in here. Since this has a slot, doesn't necessarily mean that it doesn't work. I may have data logging myself. They just don't throw in the little chip or something. You're gonna have yourself quite a bit of cable assemblies here. So this is the plug that goes from the Derringer to, in our case, the pedal monster. That's that 6-pin. Set that aside. Here's the under hood harness. Here's the OBD2 port cable, which will have a 4-pin plug. Here's your blank. They're very serious about keeping this handy in the glove box. So if you take your truck in for service, I believe you can just plug this in instead of the Derringer module. And it'll basically just give you a gauge to monitor a bunch of features on your truck, which there's no reason for an added gauge to avoid any kind of warranty. More zip ties. Your iDash Pro install videos, everything's got QR codes, so that's going to be really handy. They really give you badges instead of stickers. Those are those big, thick 3D stickers there, so those are pretty cool if you like putting stuff like that on your truck to let everyone know that you're trying to roll coal. Got the harness laid out here, the business end, where either your Derringer or your bypass plug will connect to, and then it splits in half, one side of it going to your injector plug. This goes down on your driver's side front cylinder injector, so it kind of needs its own slack there. The rest of it comes around. You've got your fuel rail pressure inline connection, your manifold absolute pressure inline connection, and then your mass airflow connection. So there is something, and make sure and watch their videos and stuff. Don't let this substitute for any instructions. On your MAF sensor, these trucks will have two. One of them is located down here, and one of them is located up here. Now, this is the one that you're going to utilize. And of course, you can see here your mass airflow sensor, and then your fuel rail pressure is up there. That injector one is way down there. I'm going to get to installing this wiring harness. If there's something that I think would be a good tip, I will break that in right after this video segment. Otherwise, this is all pretty much plug and play, and get to installing where our gauge pod is. Again, my video should not be a substitute for using the Banks instructional videos or their online instructions. Okay, magic of editing. Mass airflow sensor, done. Map sensor, done. Fuel rail pressure, done. And the hardest one by far, you're hooking that up to your #1 injector. And then I tied it up here, kind of handy, bunch of zip ties. This is some other junk from other lights. because in case we're ever going to take this thing to the dealer, I want this quick and easy to hook that diagnostic port here, and then I can just unplug that and leave it laying there. There'd be no Derringer. I did the install similar to their instructions. I ran that cord back there along that little foam gasket. It drops in behind that little wind skirt, and then just pull it out of there. You can see there's a little rubber grommet right here that you pop out and cut and run that cord through. Nothing to it. You will need to remove this and this and this so you can get to all your cables and such. The pedal monster is tied up there. You will have to hit a little button on the back side of that thing to pair it to your app. So make that accessible. Maybe not zip tie everything up until you get it test fired. And then I know that you'll be super excited to see this for about a month, you know, when you install it and you're wanting to make changes and check it out. But then you'll probably be over it. You'll find a setting that you like and you'll just send it. So that's installed. Really nothing to it. Normal tools can do 100% of this, unless you don't have a door panel tool, which I do have a half a dozen of those. Once I get that stuff installed, I had to download firmware for both the iDash and for the pedal monster. And I don't know, I maybe need to check and see if I need to download any updates for the Derringer itself, which, to be honest, that kind of stuff frustrates me because these are just released like 2-3 weeks ago from Banks, and mine was just shipped to me a week ago. Like, why would I have to download the firmware? Anyway, this stuff is all installed. Again, follow their instructions. One thing I will tell you, disconnect your, disconnect that ground here and wait 15 minutes for your computer to fully power down. That is in their instructions. It'll just cause a pain with the engine light, but lucky for you, iDash Pro can clear your check engine code, so not the end of the world. All right, here is a video before we started this installation of a little test pull. This is going uphill on an on-ramp, so completely safe, no issues with someone pulling out in front of you. This is a major highway with a speed limit that we just barely exceeded. So here you go. All right, first test. It is only 81 because it's morning time. Air conditioner off, just two-wheel drive, no traction control or anything because, to be honest, it really doesn't spin tires enough to worry with. Just gonna go dead stop so we know it's in first gear. And go. All the way to the floor. And a little tire spin. Alright, 80's enough. So it's the morning after we did our install, and oh, I'll tell you, you can notice that pedal commander immediately, which is really impressive. I was hoping it wasn't just a throttle enhancement where it just increased your input on the pedal, but I think it does quite a bit more than that, because it almost feels like a naturally aspirated engine now, instead of having that turbo lag or that delay, which it shouldn't have a lot of turbo lag or a really weak off the line pedal, because I mean, it's a 6.6 liter engine, so regardless of it being diesel or not and tuned to be boosted, you got to have some torque without making any boost. Now you can configure this gauge to show you whatever you'd like. I made a couple of changes to the default gauge. Exhaust gas temperature was one that I wanted to see. Intake air temperature was already there. I like that. Speed, I don't know why I would want to duplicate that from this. Tach, I don't need that either, but you know, whatever, everybody loves a tachometer. I really wanted the boost, and that's on there right now, and it seems to be making like 1 pound of boost just idling, so it's interesting. So we're in 4 high, turn the air conditioner off. Same spot of road, same time of day, 78 degrees this time, within a couple of gallons of fuel as we had the last time we did it. And we don't have any traffic behind us, so we can do our dead stop. We are in 4-wheel drive, traction control is on. Dead stop and go. felt stronger in the gears. It's on power level 6, which is the max. It's on Pedal Commander City and 5 bars. It did feel really strong in the middle of the gear, but I just wasn't that impressed. I don't know overall that it did anything super amazing. It is in 4-wheel drive though, so maybe we'll do a 2-wheel drive pull and see what happens. I guess the numbers will have to speak for themselves, and maybe we'll try a lower power level, because back in like 2004, I had a Duramax that I forgot what the popular tuner was at the time. But when you turn that thing up all the way, the transmission, and it just seemed like it was freaking out, like trying to reduce power too much. The truck actually ran better on a lower power setting. The good thing about the Banks module is you can actually change the power level on the fly, which maybe that's been around for a long time. It's been, 2004. It's been 21 years since I've messed with tuning my own diesel truck, I guess. So I'll play with it. I'm not really sure. We may just, it's a lot warmer outside now, but we may put it in 2-wheel drive and just see how it reacts to. I don't know. We'll make a couple of more pulls until we find sort of a happy power level. And I don't know if I mentioned it before. I think I did. The throttle monster is set on city and halfway up, which is what was recommended by the guys at Banks whenever I called them. They're like, put it on city, halfway up, and put it on max power. That's actually where you're supposed to get the best fuel economy. And then he said to just watch your exhaust gas temperatures, because truck will do a regen at like 13 or 1400 degrees Fahrenheit. So you want it to stay just below that. Let's try. Can we hold this down? 5 seconds. Yep, turns that stuff off. I know it'll come back on after a certain speed is reached. Got plenty of road here in the country. Not impressed. I feel like we should address this. I recognize that that truck and that tuner is not designed for 0 to 80 pulls or drag racing. It's going to be for towing, and I'm sure the folks at Banks did not lie to us about the performance increase and acceleration with the trailer behind it, so we'll look forward to seeing what it does there. And I could try a whole bunch of iterations of lowering the power to see if the transmission shifts smoother, or if it stays in the power longer and doesn't cut anything. But I'm going to be honest with you, if I design a product and I sell it for $1,000 plus money, I've already decided and sent it out with the expectation that the highest power level is going to deliver the highest amount of power and the most performance. So that being said, I'm not really sure I want to dog on the product, but I mean, if I spend $1,000 on something like this, I better have a noticeable gain at 0 to 80. And I understand that my timer could be a little off, a little bit here or there, but let's be honest, you guys can put your own timer on this video if you'd like, or on those pulls. And you tell me what you come up with, because for that kind of money, actually it was probably close to $1,500, I guess, with the pedal monster, which I know I kept saying Pedal Commander, so sorry about that, Banks. I'm sure you're watching this video. I'm gonna say save your money from the Derringer and buy the pedal monster, because that made a huge amount of difference. And I'm sure that the Derringer was not contributing much to that off-the-line instant feel of power, which is what that truck needed. Because honestly, these things have such a delay. It's a little scary pulling out in traffic, because it feels like a full second before your truck starts moving and 2 seconds to 3 seconds before it actually spools up and starts making power. Clearly, that was just in GM's programming, and so I'm glad that Banks has overcome that. 100% stamp of approval on the pedal monster. But the Derringer, I don't know, maybe if I was pulling a lot, I could maybe do a better test with the trailer behind it, which it does maybe once a week. But again, for that kind of money, I would expect to see something with the truck empty as well.